Hello and welcome back, everybody. Today we're gonna read a Jane Austen novel. It's Pride and Prejudice, and I brought a friend along.
Hi.
Oh God.
I'm, I'm still not dead after he killed me on the rooftop.
Yeah, no. That
It was a pretty cool climactic duel,
no, it
and
wasn't.
then
He's lying and a dick.
look, we had that sword fight, okay, and not the gay one. Well, it was probably kind of gay in like the symbology, but whatever.
I
We're
don't
reading
know what
Jane
you're talking about,
Austen's
Alex.
gay.
They were cock puppets. I was the reindeer, and you were
You know what?
and you were the house cat.
Let's just go back to the Jane Austen. That is somehow less gay in this instance. Thank you. Thank you for
Well,
actually
fine.
running.
Okay, this is like a guide in case you need to, because for some reason everybody needs to read Jane Austen at one point during a school for some fucking reason.
It's like Cliff's Notes if riff tracks were retarded.
Yeah, so instead of you having to read it, you can just come over to this handy little guide and get the gist of it. It's like, okay, it's probably going to take an hour, but at least you'll be entertained.
Anyways, we can just go ahead and start with the knowledge
Have you ever
that
actually tried reading Pride and Prejudice? You
Oh,
can't
God.
fucking do it.
I did try that first time in Mr. Couch's class. I'm hoping it goes a little better this time.
Yeah, I didn't. I just didn't touch it. I didn't. It burned me.
Oh, that's like how
I
I
have-
did the rest
I
like how I
have
did the rest-
letter-shaped burns on my fingers.
Well, it's a good thing this is a PDF now, isn't it? Anyways,
Hang on, let me try touching the screen. Ouch.
dumbass.
Ah.
You knew that was a bad idea and you did it anyway.
Yeah.
Like inviting me. Now, what we are going to go ahead and start with
Well, it's
is
your project, so I was like, hey, let's do it.
anyway, starting with the knowledge that these people are the most boring middle-class motherfuckers that this country has ever seen, and I am talking in the history of ever. The dad is basically a snarky accountant, like, and he's the most interesting character. It's
Yeah.
horrifying.
Yeah. I'm a snotty accountant.
You know, they're not high
Wow.
enough. They're not high enough to ever be able to marry into like the royalty or anything, but they're high enough that they're not allowed to interact with the badass peasantry who are going around and like actually earning a living and shit. So everything they have to do is prepare to go to mediocre parties and gather gossip at the aforementioned parties. That's
Yeah,
all
we're
they.
gonna have to go through the chapters.
Oh,
I have this
all right,
recorded
fine.
now. Chapter 1.
We're starting with the first one.
Now, as we can see immediately, it opens up with like some crazy bullshit, like arbitrary bullshit, saying, "Truth universally acknowledged that a single man in possession of a good fortune must be in want of a wife," as if that was something that any man with money would want. Although, want to know something funny? The man probably only has the money because he's not married.
I'm assuming Darcy is gay, but moving on.
Probably. Okay.
But yeah, so then we go ahead and skip right down past all the rest of that bullshit to my dear Mr. Bennett, said the annoying lady who was shackled to him. I mean, his wife. And wow, that was kind of misogynistic right there. Never mind, hang on. Well, she is an annoying bitch through the rest of the book. Like, should I just... Huh. You know what?
She
That's
is
not-
no spring chicken.
To be fair,
She's like a winter chicken.
every character in this book is an annoying bitch.
Even
including
the men.
Even the men.
Even the men.
Especially the men. And so, that's fair. Okay, yeah, moving on.
All right,
Anyway,
so,
so
we got her like absolutely nagging her husband
Yeah.
immediately.
She spends the entire first chapter trying to bother her husband into going and paying a visit to the neighbors who, well, okay, not the neighbors, but like the rich dude who just moved in down the street,
We should get our daughters to fuck them,
pretty much, and have babies and marriage so that we don't have to worry about our daughters anymore.
and so we can be rich and have money.
Pretty much.
We need to constantly be in a state of having lots of money, even though that we're sort of well off.
It's kind of like those parents who want to kick you out of the house and make you go to college because they want the rec room.
Yeah.
Like, they want the pool table in the upstairs thing. That's what's going on here.
And if you have still like mildly young parents, whenever they say rec room, that means they're going to fuck in your room.
And it's going to be pretty awful and repeated. But this is Victorian England, so we're assuming that they're done fucking as soon as they're married.
And then if you ever move in back with your parents, you're not allowed to ever have a black room in that room ever. Just saying.
Well, you can, but only if you never want to sleep again.
At least on your face in that room.
Yeah,
Because that is Dad's fluid. Don't sleep in that. That's bad.
Yeah. Anyways.
Anyway.
So yeah, she spends the entire chapter telling him, hey, you should go visit these dudes so that our daughters can have baby marriage with him.
Yeah.
And then he spends the entire thing being a snarky bitch right back at her and telling her, maybe later.
Like, immediately we can hear, like, my dear Mr. Bennet. Like, that's her. Have you heard that Netherfield Park has let it last? And it's like, it's old speak, so you don't know what that means immediately.
Pretty sure she's not Bill Cosby. Cut that shit out.
That had nothing to do with Bill Cosby.
You sounded like Bill Cosby. That was your Bill Cosby.
Have you heard that Netherfield Park has let it last? That's Bill Cosby, you piece of shit.
That was exactly the same, you cocksucker. Now.
No, I didn't like this. Those are two entirely different things. You were a fucking idiot.
Probably. Anyways.
Mr. Bennet replied that he had not. He does not know anything that she is talking about, but she persists, as we see here. But it is, she says.
Which I find it funny that, like, his first and most immediate reaction to his wife is just assuming that she's going to tell him all the stuff that she thinks is important, even though he just obviously does not give a shit.
Yeah, like, if you'll notice, like, you can already tell that he's probably going to be, you know, the best character in the book from the simple fact that in response to the most annoying woman ever, the first thing he ever does in the book was reply that he had not heard a thing that she was talking about, and that it wasn't even graced with quotes. It's just, you know, narrator's, you know, grace that we know that he did not know. It's
pretty fantastic.
It's pretty fantastic.
So the only other thing of any interesting note in Chapter 1 is that he's talking about how much he prefers Lizzie over the rest of his daughters, even though the rest of them are supposed to be sexier, more polite, whatever, which the mom is saying this, which is kind of awful to sit there and have a least favorite daughter, but...
Oh, no.
And so he's sitting there and he's just like, no, me and Lizzie, we're bros. She's the snarky bitch of the family. And even though Mr. Bennet is the snarky bitch of the family.
Yeah.
And so it's pretty great. Oh, yeah, also the dude who moved in down the street, his name is fucking Bingley. What's with that?
Who names their kid... Oh, well, I guess that's his last name, so...
Yeah,
Who names their family line Bingley? That's worse.
It's a successful family line, too, which means that they were probably knighted or something at some point way in the asshole past.
Which means that somewhere in, like, the...
Yeah, someone was granted the title of Sir Bingley. That's terrible.
That means it's probably on the record somewhere, too. Somebody had to write down the words, Sir Bingley.
Ugh.
Oh, my God. That's
I'm pretty sure I'd rather commit seppuku with the pen. Like, just ritual suicide.
Actually, I was about to say, he probably, you know... stabbed himself repeatedly with his little fountain pen, and then wrote that shit in blood, and then died.
The only way to make it better. Anyway.
Like, this is what has killed me. Nothing else.
Then we have Chapter 2 of this fantastic
let's just skip ahead. You can, like, just pause. I'm going to go down very slowly. Very slowly. You can see everything about Lizzie being all good and shit and all this, and then we come very slowly to Chapter 2. Which is lined up perfectly with the page, which is lovely. See, it immediately comes up with Mr. Bennet, but sadly enough, he's waiting on Mr. Bingley.
Well, to be fair, this actually makes it slightly better because he spent the entire previous chapter telling his wife, fuck it, maybe later. And he was like the first guy who took care of business.
Yeah.
And then he just didn't even tell anybody either, which is even better.
Yeah. He basically does things like... Imagine him as you would the most interesting man in the world, except much older.
Yeah, except broke in English.
Yeah.
That's pretty much what we've got going on here.
And he doesn't really drink to Catelet.
Well, no, he probably like gin or something.
Or opium,
and it's
just saying.
And it's mostly social because if he drinks at home, he goes into a rage state and just ends all of his family members except Lizzie. Which, to be fair, would have been a better start, but...
Lizzie is about the boy of the family.
Pretty much. She's kind of what would happen if a tomboy had to live in Victorian England. Actually, no, that's almost exactly what it is.
Yeah, like, she still adheres to the entire dress rule, so she, like, still wears, like, all that frilly shit that people wear, but I'm guessing if she lived in, you know, the now, she would be wearing, like, maybe, you know, a biker jacket, maybe have a tattoo or something. Like, no matter what book she's in, she's kind of badass. Like, if you haven't read Pride and Prejudice and Zombies, you probably should, because in that she stabs zombies, a lot of them.
I hear much better, actually. Like, even better written.
Yeah, I hear that too. I've read some of it, and it's like, oh, well, in the middle of the ball, they came together to form a 5-pointed Death Star and killed every single zombie that came within range. That's fine. That's great. She and her sisters just killed everything. Good. All right.
It's glorious.
Well, back to the real book.
Back to the important thing we're doing.
Yeah.
The
Well.
oh so wonderful thing where, oh god, I'm throwing up. Hang on.
No was intended to visit him. No,
No.
the last assuring his wife that he should not go.
No blood yet. Okay.
Oh no. And
Anyways.
then I'm pretty sure at this point in chapter 2, they're getting ready to go somewhere to meet Mr. Bingley. I think it was like a ball. Yeah.
Yeah.
They're gonna go to the ball, right?
Well, that's more or less all these people do, if you'll remember, like cheap-ass parties.
Like
That
all-
is literally the only thing they can do except for collect rent.
Yeah, I guess. Like they have a tax collector, and they go to balls.
Yeah.
Nobody actually does work. That's it.
Well, that's the entire point of the British middle class at this point. The aristocracy had, like, holy shit tons of money, and then the lower ranks paid everybody. So,
Fair enough.
yeah.
I've just snapped a paring knife in half, so I'm happy. And basically, the mother decides to just rub her cunt up in everyone's face at this point in anger.
Pretty much.
So
Because that's the only thing she's done with it for 30 years.
yeah, the
She
only
doesn't actually know how pregnancy works.
yeah like whenever she's angry, she rubs her cunt up on something, and that's only slightly metaphorical because exactly, funnily enough, she's only like been super angry about Mr. Bingley's Mr. Bennett's cock about 5 times. Go figure.
Yeah. And then they had 5 hate fuck children.
Yeah.
And he was, in traditional Bennett sarcastic fashion, just kind of going with it.
Yeah, Mrs. Bennet used to be a lot more interesting back then.
It was great.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, we're not allowed to read about that because fucking Elizabeth Bennet takes the spotlight.
God damn it, Lizzie.
Pretty much. And then I hope Mr. Bingley will like it, Lizzie, and that's what his first thing is. And so apparently he's kind of okay with marrying his daughter off to a rich dude who he barely knows. But seeing as this is England, it's probably better than what the alternative was, which was literally anything else. So,
And now they have to go to the assemblies, of course.
hello?
Yes. Oh god, the Skype. Skype, no! No, Skype! You can pull through. Can you do it? Oh god, Alex is having problems. He can't. His internet sucks so bad. It's like a vacuum. Except it sucks in everything that we ever could have cherished and hoped for in making a video together. Which means this is kind of a godsend. Huh. Well, I guess.
Hi there.
Oh, hi. Did you hear that? What I was saying?
No, I missed it.
Oh, thank God. All right. Where were we?
I'm just going to watch the video later. Like, this is how I'm taking my notes.
No, you're not.
Yes, it is. No, I'm legitimately pointing out the important things in the chapter.
Fuck. That's fine. I don't give a shit. You don't know about it now. In the present moment, you have no idea what it is. The future you knows exactly what I just said, and you are pissed. But right now, you're fine.
Awesome. Let's keep going. Okay, so I hope Mr. Bingley likes the hat. Huge bitch.
Your hat is goddamn nice. I don't know if Mr. Bingley will like it. He probably likes bigger hats, but who are we to know because we're not
Oh, yeah.
part
And
of
then
the
down here,
group.
don't keep coughing so, Kitty, for heaven's sake. So they even named one of these children after the enraged pussy of Miss Bennet.
Yeah.
Which is just wonderful.
Yeah, and they're telling her not to cough anymore. Stop it. Stop coughing. Clear your throat and I'll slap the fuck out of you, bitch.
That symbolism is never making it into any of my official reports.
No.
Okay.
Don't keep
and-
coughing
and-
so, Kitty.
But yeah, so they're talking, I do not cough for my own amusement, she replied fretfully. And it's just like, oh god, everyone thinks she's doing it on purpose.
Kitty has
Never
no
putting that
discretion.
symbol-
Kitty has no discretion in her coughs. She times them ill.
Oh god.
It's like, fuck you, Kitty. You're not allowed to cough whenever. Fuck you.
Fantastic.
And she's like, I don't cough for my own amusement, she replies, like, even fretfully.
Yeah.
It's like, you guys are fucking dicks. It's like sneezing. It's like, oh my god. Like, if she was ever pregnant, and they were, like, at a ball, if she went, you know, into if she started having the baby, they'd be like, oh, come the fuck on, kitty. Stop being such a bitch. Enjoy the party and stop having your fucking baby. They fucking hate Kitty.
Pretty much.
But it's like, whatever, you know?
Yeah. To be fair, like, reading through, none of the sisters are terribly likable, so I can't blame their own family for hating each other.
Except sort of Lizzie. Sort of.
Well, as the protagonist, we kind of have to be a little bit more inclined towards her, and frankly, I prefer Mr. Bennett.
Yeah, he is the hidden protagonist.
He's the hidden awesome asshole. Anyways, but so they proceed to go through the entire rest of the chapter, just kind of talking about, oh man, I am so totally wet for Mr. Bingley. This is happening.
And here you can see that they use the word circumspection, so you know that this was made a long, long time ago. None of you even know what the fuck that is.
I've used that word within the week.
Not you, them.
Oh. He's calling the internet idiots. You guys hear this? Here's fans.
I didn't say idiots. I said ignorance.
They think it's the same thing.
Illiterates.
Oh, they probably actually don't read because you're assholes.
Let's go.
The fact that you're trying to get your Cliff's Notes via YouTube means that he's probably right, which is terrible. Anywho.
Want to know a secret? You guys would be in chapter 3 right about now. It's 38.
Oh, yeah.
We're 38 minutes in. You're fucked.
Oh god. So you probably could be doing this faster by just reading it and like skimming it because we're only barely going over what's actually important.
Yeah, like the actual things that happen in here are, you know, basically moot unless you read the book.
Yeah. Oh, so the important stuff that happens in chapter 2, they're bitching about each other and talking about how amazing Mr. Bingley is and getting ready to go to a ball. That's it. That's the entirety of chapter 2. It's also only like a page and a half, but whatever.
Yeah, I'm just skimming through this. You can pause wherever the fuck you need.
Pretty much.
Chapter 3 is not cooperating. Hang on, let me just use my fucking powers of fucking.
You know, it's still a completely free PDF. Like we don't have to worry about it.
Yeah, we're fine.
Yeah, like you can just go do that on your own fucking time. If you actually want to read it, don't come to the Cliff's Notes, you asshole. Anywho,
and then the next one's like, dude, what's up?
Yeah, pretty much. Which I like how they describe everyone talking to Mr. Bingley. They attacked him in various ways, with barefaced questions, ingenious suppositions, and distant surmises. So basically, they're all trying to be linguistic ninjas, and I'm pretty sure that Bingley's probably an idiot.
Because the daughters aren't really stupid. They just act really stupid.
One of them is.
Well, one of them is absolutely, like, borderline retarded.
Yeah, if I remember correctly, Jane's a fucking idiot.
Yeah, if they had helmets then, they would have given her one.
Oh, that's not true. They were too cheap to do that. Anyway.
Well, do you know what a pudding cap is? For safety reasons, they would have given her one of those.
Oh, Jesus. Anywho, moving on.
Ben Franklin.
Oh, God.
You make the best names.
the bifocal. What is that? Is that a laser?
No. It's glasses.
It's a kind of glasses thing. Amazing.
Look at me. I've made the oculary and the Franklin stove because I'm a dick.
Yeah, but this has another thing that they're introducing that's actually kind of important. We get to find out about the Lucas family, which are the next door neighbors, and they're kind of the town gossips as far as the book is concerned. They've always got the latest scoop on some fucking thing.
Just for reference, he knows more about this book than I do because I never actually even read any of it. I just know the gist because I've seen the movie. And there he goes on the Skype. Oh yeah. Why? What do you mean why? Because I had to do a test on the movie. So now we're waiting. Oh, Seven Asses, are you back?
God damn it. That's still my screen name?
Yeah.
Son of a bitch.
Actually, I'm going to share that to everybody right now.
You already did. You just did.
Yeah, I'm doing that right now. Like, I'm actually filling in certain sentences with your name. The ladies 7 asses, for they had the advantage of ascertaining from an upper window that 7 asses black horse.
Fantastic.
Oh, you're so welcome. I hate you.
Anyways, so yeah, Lucas people, gossipy bitches. Just establishing that.
We could actually read this word for word and then just go off of each sentence if we wanted to go in more in depth, but that would take even longer. We're on chapter 3 and we're 40 minutes in.
Pretty much. So this would take a while anyway.
Yeah.
Like just doing this. And so, invitation to dinner was soon afterwards dispatched because Mrs. Bennet was kind of putting out really easily because she still didn't know what her genitalia were for. She assumed it was kind of like saying hi.
Spread them and let the hello flow.
Tragically enough, her children were simply accidents of genetics. Mr. Bennet is the only man in England actually virile enough to manage to bear her a child.
God damn it.
So his hate spawn are now purveying the streets of London.
Oh, good. That's disgusting.
Mr. Bingley was a good-looking and gentlemanly... he was good-looking.
Mr. Bingley was good-looking and gentlemanlike. He had a pleasant countenance and easy, unaffected manners. So basically, he was a laid-back, chill motherfucker.
Pretty much. He was like Samuel L. Jackson if you removed all the black and put in a bunch of pansy.
Yeah, pretty much. And, take out the afro and put in like a little fucking pansy.
Yeah. Like, just assume a weak-spined British man, and then there.
Like he's kind of a player, and he kind of, gets on with the ladies pretty good.
For the book, he's pretty cool.
Yeah, in the movie, he's kind of a pussy bitch.
Yeah.
Like, nobody even really talks about him that much anymore afterwards. Because, this book centers about Lizzie and Mr. Darcy, but, you have to talk about Mr. Bingley. I mean, his name is fucking Mr. Bingley.
Seriously.
What a fucking gay ass. Just saying.
Yeah. Well, no, not all that gay if he's, like, still trying to be a player. Well, actually, no, we never see him get married, do we?
Who?
Bingley?
I don't even fucking care.
I think he's occasionally mentioned as shacking up with one of the sisters later.
I think it was Lucy.
That is not in and of itself proof that he is not, in fact, a homosexual.
No, I mean, I think that he hooked up with Lucy, so I think he has a thing for vegetables.
Oh, God.
Yeah. She is borderline potato.
Oh.
Oh, God. She is running the line of leak, just saying.
Oh, she's Mrs. Potato.
She is.
Oh, insert accessories as needed. Anyway.
Oh my God! It's like she has some sort of strange schizophrenic dementia autism.
Yeah. But unfortunately, this chapter is a very big thing that happens. We introduce Mr. Darcy.
Well, also, something else. Mr. Bingley has a brother-in-law. Who's kind of a dick. Just saying. I thought we should, just introduce Mr. Hurst. It's like, hey, I'm a gentleman. I'm gonna go drink all the booze.
Yeah.
It's like he's like the hobo that, were at the correct time, I believe, might be a pedophile.
Well, this is England, so most official marriages are pretty much pedophilia by today's legal standards.
Oh yeah. It's like, what are you, 14? Fuck yeah, come here. Ugh.
Better hit that suit. It's gonna start sagging.
And then directly after Mr. Hurst, we introduce Mr. Darcy, who is an attention-grabbing whore.
Pretty much. And then he stays that way for the entire rest of the book, except when he's not being shown up because, somebody else is pissed off at him.
Yeah, let's take a little look at his explanation. But his friend Mr. Darcy soon drew the attention of the room by his fine, tall person, handsome features, noble mien, and the rapport, which was in general circulation within 5 minutes after his entrance, of his having 10,000 a year.
Yeah.
So he's a rich cocksucker.
Yeah, well, hang on. So he's supposed to be really good-looking, but at the same time he's a complete douchebag.
Basically, he's a piece of wood with... Okay, think of it like this. You take a log, You strip off all of the bark. You strip off all of the branches. You cut off the top so it's completely flat. Cut off the bottom so it'll balance upright. So you have this, just this like straight flat log, right? Now what I want you to do is take a tampon and tape that to the front of the log. That is Mr. Darcy.
Well, does the tampon have blood on it yet?
Well, no, it's a fresh tampon.
Oh.
Because like the whole thing is, you know, throughout the entire thing, Lizzie and him are being abstinent of each other, even though that there's tension. So it would, in fact, be a clean tampon.
You know what? That's all right. That's fair. Okay.
Yeah, but basically, it's an odd occurrence. Basically, is what I'm talking about here. Is that he's kind of boring, but for some reason, he has a tampon taped to his face. If you get my meaning. It's just kind of like, why are you important? Why is this here?
Yeah. Anyways, so, okay, long story short, good-looking asshole, lots of money. Moving on.
Oh yeah, and shower that log with a few thousand.
Yeah, like this is the one tree that money does grow on.
Okay, yeah.
Reason.
So what you're going to want to do instead is tape the tampon to the tree, and then tape maybe a 20-carat diamond next to the tampon.
Yeah.
That's what you got. That's Mr. Bingley.
It's still a log with the tampon taped to it, but it's also got that diamond.
It's also got a diamond taped directly next to the tampon. Which would be a really weird thing to see ever, but you know, you have Mr. Bingley, so you don't really have to wait.
Yeah.
A really, really handsome log.
So that was fantastic.
Yeah, you're welcome.
And anyways, so...
And he was looked at with great admiration.
Yeah.
As long as you ignored the tampon for half the evening. Till his manners gave a disgust which turned the tide of his popularity. For he was discovered to be proud, to be above his company, and above being pleased. And not at all his large estate in Derbyshire could then save him from having a most forbidding, disagreeable countenance, and being unworthy to be compared with his friend. So that's where the assholishness part comes in. So that's also like taping a cat turd underneath those two other things. So now Mr. Darcy can be explained as being a very handsome log with a tampon diamond and cat feces taped to it.
Yeah, which there's the very lucky thing that, you know, his initial introduction in this chapter, he's kind of a complete douche to Elizabeth,
he's a complete douche to everybody.
Yeah, and not to mention he's really totally shallow when he's just like, you're not even worth the time of day if you're not the most beautiful chick in the room. I'm just gone.
Right. He is kind of a super asshole.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Pretty great.
While Mr. Darcy's being a super cock, Mr. Bingley is busy, shacking it up with everybody. He's just, talking to everybody who has a face. And that's, you know, technically everybody in the room. Even Lucy. Even though that her face is kind of skewed because autism. Just saying.
Yeah. And so...
Because Lucy is fucking retarded.
So that was fun.
Yeah. I'm going to hell, aren't I?
Yeah, you're probably going to be getting, a seat, if not next to mine, near mine, which is just going to end up in the both of us being expelled into a worse hell.
Yeah, I'm going to get the heaven test, and I'm going to get, a D+.
You technically passed, but we're still failing you.
Yeah. It's going to be the worst day ever.
Fantastic.
You need to have at least a C to get into heaven.
Oh.
D+!
God damn it.
You do get to go to limbo, though. That could be worse. Nah.
What happens if you get kicked out of limbo?
Well, I don't know if you can get kicked out of limbo. Because, I mean, the whole point is how low can you go? That was a pun.
Yeah. Well, I'm trying to think, though. Where do you go afterwards?
How low can you go past limbo?
So that was
Probably the ether, which is like limbo but worse. There's no pole in the ether. And you can't see anybody else, so you can't really get kicked out because you're alone.
What happens if you manage to get kicked out of that too?
You can't. That's the point.
Well, no, I mean, like,
Because
what
they
happens?
don't want to keep inventing places for you, so they just basically make you like a massless intelligence in an expanse of infinity, and that's your existence. Good job.
Fantastic. But so what ended up happening with Chapter 3 was they went to the ball. Darcy was a douche, but he got on the radar, which is really the important thing in Chapter 3.
Yeah. Because you know how you see Mr. Bingley with his stupid ass name flaunting around and doing shit? That is not important in the least, except for the fact that he likes retards.
Yeah, he's a plot device. That's a pretty tragic thing, because that means you're not even necessarily a side character. You're just there to move it on.
Well, Bingley. It's fucking Bingley. You don't name, a protagonist, antagonist, or sub-protagonist Bingley. Even if you're, Miss Austen. Just saying.
Yeah.
Yeah. Alright, and, what else? Mr. Darcy danced only once with Mrs. Hurst, and once with Miss Bingley, because he's a fucking shallow bitch. Declined in being introduced to any other lady, and spent the rest of the evening in walking about the room, speaking occasionally to one of his own party. His character was decided. He was the proudest, most disagreeable man in the world. And everybody hoped that he would never come there again. Everybody. Even Mr. Bingley.
Ah, such an asshole.
Amongst the most violent against him was Mrs. Bennet, who was just like, fuck that guy! It's like, wow. Like, you'd think that with the money pouring out of his pocket, she'd just, be naked.
Yeah. When the whore of the family, who's trying to make all the rest of her family pretty much whores as well, when she's not tempted by the money, and this guy is the biggest money bags in the room, that gives you an image of just how bad Darcy is when we start.
Log, tape, diamonds, cat poop, and tampons.
Oh, thank you for illustrating that so vividly.
Yes! You are welcome. Why do people keep sending things in Skype? Fuck you. Alright. Yeah, and Mrs. Bennet hates him. Oh, look, food! Thank you very much. And Mrs. Bennet hates him, a lot. And she's just like, oh, I fucking hate that guy. If any of you talk to that guy, I swear to God, I will start cutting you in the vagina again.
Wow.
Yeah. Because she is a bitch. That is childhood trauma. That is.
Fantastic.
I thought that it was necessary to say.
Yeah, fair enough.
So, Alex, how are your notes going?
Fairly well, actually. I didn't realize how much of this dialogue was just completely unnecessary. Because, one of the things that was actually pointed out as we started the assignment was how much of this was a satire on the times, and how much of it was so incredibly deeply ironic that Mrs. Austen actually qualifies as being a hipster before it was cool.
Ha.
And so what ended up happening was she told us that was the primary thing to look for, and I've decided I'm not finding every single instance. I'm just going to go ahead and assume that if I wanted to cite the irony, I would say the book, and move on from there.
Ah.
Because literally every single part of the narrative style and character design is brought up as part of that, and I don't want to have to go fish out the individual elements right now, because that'd be bullshit.
Yeah, pretty much. But, yeah, this is how it's going. So, Alex, are you putting in any of the funny stuff, or are you just, trying to keep it serious?
Wait, for which chapter?
For your report.
Oh, for my report? Oh, God, I'm just going to be using this as a reference guide. I haven't written anything down yet. I'm going to be reading this seriously later. Right now, this is just kind of derp.
Good. It's just I could just imagine you writing. Plank of wood with tampon taped to it.
Oh,
Also, diamond and cat turd. Stop. Because for some reason you're using semaphore.
oh God. And so what? Yeah, what ended up happening with the assignment was it was amazing because a feminist gave us the assignment, and
This book
oh
was
God,
this book was pretty feminist whenever it was made, and now
and
it's
now it's
pretty
incredibly misogynistic.
yeah. Nowadays it is totally yeah. Oh well. Yeah. No, no. I'm eating pork chops. It's alright. Alright. So, then at some point, Elizabeth, had to dance with Mr. Darcy.
Oh, yeah.
And how did that go?
Not well.
No.
Not well.
Because he was a dick the whole time.
Yeah.
And she was being a bitch the whole time because he was being a dick the whole time. So you have this... It's kind of like trying to run at a wall naked, having a boner.
And then leaping into the air, crotch first.
Yeah.
Brick wall. Like, and not even like the smooth red brick that's weathered 30 years, and so it's actually pretty smooth there.
Yeah.
No, we're talking fresh cinder block.
Like, roughly hewn.
Pretty bad.
You're welcome. That is what this is like. Dick versus bitch. So, that basically is all that happens. And,
Yeah.
no.
So I'm just going to move on to chapter 4 because that was such a wonderfully vividly illustrated metaphor that I don't want to touch it anymore.
Okay, let's just continue through here.
Yeah. But so,
We will move on to chapter 4 very soon. Thank you for watching this chapter. Well, the first 3 chapters, but
yeah.
it's been an hour. So you go do what you need to do. And head on back for part 2 whenever you feel that you can take any more of this terror.
Oh
Thank you
God,
for
it's
watching.
terrible.
I love you and goodbye.